I'm a partner at Altitude Marketing here in Emmaus, and welcome to Emmaus Vision 2030 presentation. We will be recording today's presentation for future use. I'd like to go through our agenda for today. We'll start with opening remarks from Mayor Lee Ann Gilbert, followed by a short video presentation on the quality of life in Emmaus. Then we'll go to Michael Gibson, Chair of the Emmaus Planning Commission, to go over the rationale behind Vision 2030. And then we'll roll into the 5 key areas of the vision. During the key area presentation, if you have questions, please put them in your chat. We'll try to take 1 to 2 questions after each key area, and we'll follow up via email for anything we can't get to today. I'd now like to welcome Mayor Lee Ann Gilbert.
Thank you, Gwen. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Emmaus Vision 2030. Thank you for joining us for this special presentation. As a community leader here in the borough and in the Lehigh Valley, you are an important stakeholder in the future of our borough. Emmaus is a vibrant, evolving community that maintains its small town charm and heritage, and we need you. There's a tremendous opportunity in the borough. With your participation in our future, we can continue to enhance the quality of our life of our residents, business owners, and visitors. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your support of Emmaus and Vision 2030.
Thank you, Mayor. We're now going to run a short video on the quality of life in Emmaus.
Whether you're new to town, grew up in Emmaus, or just visiting, you know that Emmaus offers a great quality of life. A well-maintained collection of community parks provides a safe place for kids to swim, teens to play sports, and families to gather for festivals, summer concerts, and other community-wide, award-winning events throughout the year. Emmaus is abundant with outdoor recreation facilities. Take a relaxing walk in one of our many walking paths and nature trails covering hundreds of miles. Operating year-round at Triangle Park, the Emmaus Farmers Market is a popular gathering place and provides the community with a source of safe, locally produced fresh produce. The Triangle area is also a popular choice for shopping and includes many of the area's best restaurants. As for education, the East Penn School District is one of the best in the state, with more than 82% of its graduates entering degree programs, a number that continues to rise. Emmaus High School offers a variety of clubs and state championship sports teams. In Emmaus, we strive to keep our community safe. We have our own police and fire departments, ambulatory service, and 2 major hospitals are just a short drive away. See it all for yourself. Come to Emmaus, Pennsylvania, voted one of the best places to live, twice.
That video, as well as ones on business and industry development and our nonprofits, can be found on the borough website and also the Vision 2030 website, which is visitemmaus.com. Next up will be Michael Gibson to review the rationale behind Vision 2030. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Gwen. So what is Visioning 2030? I'll give you a quick background and history. In 2018, the Emmaus Planning Commission embarked on a 10-year strategic plan for the borough with a 2020 start date. Our foundation for this undertaking was the Southwest Lehigh Comprehensive Plan, the 6-municipality plan that was completed in 2017. A visioning committee was then established of 15 individuals from various cross-sections of the borough: homeowners, business owners, developers, borough commissions, borough council, not-for-profits, schools, and many others were invited to be part of the group. This group met monthly starting in January of 2018, for an hour to an hour and a half monthly. to discuss key result areas, objectives, priorities, and champions for each objective. Okay, I'm going to defer back to our controller. There we are. Never mind. I think we've got back control now. In February 2020, the committee presented our first draft to the Borough Council for comments. Then, as we all know, in March of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic put a halt to public meetings. The committee continued our work to refine the plan and be ready for public meetings and engagement would return. During this time, many of the initiatives that we set out in the plan had already been put into place by the borough staff and Public Works. And that brings us to today. We will discuss 5 key result areas the committee developed and what initiatives have been already put into motion with the boroughs, such as MS4 upgrades, water system improvements, Parks and Rec study, pool study, RFP for writing new zoning ordinances, Saldo, and more. One of our first key result area is community utilities. Second key area is community service. Third key area is natural resource. Fourth key area is development. And our fifth and final key area is transportation. I will continue and cover key area 1, community utilities. This key area was found to be the foundation for all other discussions. Providing an effective and efficient utility infrastructure to borough residents is the key to all other aspects of this plan. Emmaus water, sewer, stormwater systems have been undergoing extensive repairs and replacements since we started this plan and continue on throughout today. The borough-owned water system is a key attraction to the business community that wishes to locate in the borough, and the need to continue and maintain and grow our systems is essential to the current demands and future growth. Developers must be responsible partners in ensuring their projects do not place undue stress on our systems, and the Planning Commission, alongside borough staff, must manage the limited equivalent dwelling units, or EDUs, to ensure strategic growth. The borough's early efforts to meet MS4 requirements began prior to this plan and continues today. The Zoning Board, Planning Commission, and borough staff ensure development is meeting requirements of stormwater runoff. The committee saw the need for expansion and upgrading of utilities and technologies to all areas within the borough, such as 5G networks, natural gas expansion and upgrades. And these endeavors must be planned and coordinated in a manner to avoid duplication of work. I'm going to now turn the next key area over to Councilwoman Terry Sword McManaman to discuss community services.
Thank you, Michael. As we look at key area 2, community services, as it pertains to our 10-year vision, this section includes those areas that give Emmaus a strong quality of life for our residents, businesses, and visitors. Items covered under community services ties in our emergency services, our parks and trails, police interaction with our schools and events, and all of the other services we provide as a municipality. This section also includes sewer, water, and trash removal. The purpose to this key area is to understand what are the absolute infrastructure necessities that we need in the borough to accomplish some of the heavier lift items Mike will discuss under development and transportation. The strategic initiatives and action items outlined here reimagine Emmaus's existing and future residents' needs by maintaining and improving high-quality parks, bicycle, and walking trails. We have abundant outdoor resources, and we're making great strides in this area, which Councilwoman Shannon Baumgartner will cover in more detail under natural resources. We also envision aesthetically pleasing streets in our borough, which entails taking a closer look at our ordinances around trash disposal, environmental impacts of our chosen hauler, and what the future is around our recycling efforts through exploration of a recycling manager position. And finally, improvements to our compost site, including expanded hours. The backbone of our emergency and fire departments is a full range of services for residents that include a state-accredited police department and an advanced life support and ambulance corps staffed with paramedics and emergency medical technicians. We have an action item to explore the feasibility of a community emergency center and facility use plan. This will engage our already health-minded residents on a deeper and more participatory role in the borough. Interestingly, the discussion around our own high-quality public library included the trend that community libraries are transitioning to become resource centers. What would rebranding our own library as an educational resource center mean for future generations? Regardless of the outcome, these conversations are necessary and important for supporting our residents and their families in 2030 and into 2030. We want to continually strive to make the community of Emmaus an even greater place to live, work, shop, visit, and play. We have a strong sense of community, an attractive historic and artsy character, a vibrant economy, and an excellent quality of life. Vision 2030 is a stepping stone in helping us to move forward in identifying what areas give us greater opportunities to create actions and coordination for available grant monies with county and state, which will provide a stronger future for our borough.
If there's any questions for Terry or Mike, and we want to drop them into the chat. And we'll move on.
And now we'll hear from Councilwoman Shanna Baumgartner, who will cover Key Area 3, Natural Resources.
Thank you, Councilwoman McManaman. All of us here likely recognize the value and importance of natural resources in our community, and Emmaus has a lot of them. We understand the mental and physical benefits of having open spaces and trails for fresh air and exercise, the social benefits of having parks and playgrounds to gather, and the environmental benefits of having natural green spaces and waterways. But beyond these soft benefits are financial benefits. So the Lehigh Valley Return on Environment report released in 2014 by the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission found that an estimated $795.7 million is spent on outdoor recreation each year in the Lehigh Valley and creates an estimated 9,678 jobs. And in terms of residential property value, the report found that the average premium added to each home within a quarter mile of protected open space is $14,600. And this includes parks, natural areas, conservation, agricultural easements, etc. So protecting, preserving, and planning for the future improvement of natural and recreational spaces in our borough is a major component of our vision. Oops, let me go back. So first, the Vision 2030 outlines a plan for protecting natural spaces such as our waterways in a borough in order to preserve biodiversity and to support stormwater management in those areas. Something near and dear to my heart, of course, as a mother and a mother of 3 children and as chair of Parks and Rec, is the preservation and improvement of our park areas, our natural, recreational, and scenic resources. So according to the National Recreation and Parks Association, 4 out of 5 adults in the US say that access to a nearby park, playground, open space, or recreation space is an important factor in deciding where they choose to live. And this naturally has an economic impact. According to Economic Research and Association, neighborhood parks can provide up to a 20% increase in housing values for those homes facing the park. And this is where Emmaus truly stands out. The national average is 1 park for every 2,232 residents. And in Emmaus, we actually have 10 community parks and neighborhood parks. That means that we have 1 park for every 1,139 residents. And there's also an average of 1 playground for every 3,750 residents nationally. And in Emmaus, 8 of our parks have playgrounds. So that's 1 playground per 1,423 residents. So we have a lot of recreational spaces to offer communities in our area. And finally, the Vision Committee considered agriculture in Emmaus, and we don't have a lot of agricultural spaces, but we do have a community garden, and the plan considers the benefits of the community garden and hopes to a vision for expanding the community garden to other areas of the borough. We've already been making some efforts towards this, towards the community services and natural resources aspects of this vision in the Parks and Recreation Open Space and Trails study that was completed in last fall. And then this year we completed the pool study. So we've been completing these studies to get a sense of what the community wants to see for the vision of the future of these open spaces, trails, and the pool as the recreational space. And then to help that, help us create a plan for the future, but also to help us with funding, because in order to get any grants, we have to have a plan in place. So we do have those studies that have already happened, and they're available on our borough website. And we have also outlined a specific master plan for some of the parks in our borough as well. So we've done some work towards these key areas. And the vision plan, as I said, captures some action specific to the key areas that we highlighted here for natural resources. And the next key area is the area of development. Yes.
We do have a question from John. Has connecting our trails to the DNL been explored?
Yes, and that's something that is an ongoing conversation. It's also addressed in our Parks and Trails study, which actually I can probably share. I'll link to that. So I can try, I'll share a link to where you can find that on our borough website, and I will follow up with you on that one. The next key area is development, and we'll turn that back over to Michael Gibson.
Thank you, Councilwoman Baumgartner. Development in new tax base is vital to any community, but particularly challenging for landlocked boroughs. With an average growth of approximately 19% annually, our demands and our demographics are constantly changing in Emmaus. This takes a commitment to create a balance of preservation of environmentally sensitive areas and quality new development placed in appropriate sections of Emmaus. With this balance comes the need for creative means to attract and retain businesses and development. And to Mr. Hayes's question, part of that is to preserve and expand upon the preservation of the South Mountain Trail Corridor. This is a picture of some creative zoning that allows for compact residential projects with ease of access to local amenities and keeps the traditional look of boroughs where the buildings set close to the sidewalk with parking in the rear, along with some changes to parallel parking. And I'm sure you'll notice the extension up in height, as well as rooftop gardens with decks and patios, so that we get, again, inventory that suits the ever-changing demographics within the borough. Diversity of zoning ordinance can allow for more mixed-use projects and a range of building types and costs. As I mentioned, we are issued an RFP for the rewriting of the borough's zoning ordinances, as well as our subdivision and land development ordinances, otherwise known as SALDO. That RFP was awarded, and we are working with a consultant and a task force to rewrite the zoning, which will be immediately followed by the rewrite of the SALDO. This will create traditional downtown retail under living space with mixed use to be expanded to other areas of the borough. Traditionally, right now, most of that exists in the Triangle Corridor and a few blocks off in either direction. A move to hybrid form-based zoning keeps a uniform look to neighborhoods and maintains the Emmaus character. Form-based zoning is keeping the continual look from block to block, as opposed to changing setbacks, which move houses front to back or businesses front to back along the road frontage. Here's another example of creative zoning. This is an example of some future mixed use, keeping that traditional look that we currently see throughout the borough, but most commonly in the Triangle area. We brought a little bit of European flair with the window boxes and the greenery across the street, but keeping a nice traditional look to future development. This is another example of increased building heights and pocket parks that can allow for communities within communities, that allows for increased capacity of housing units and amenities to support the neighborhood and the surrounding businesses. As Councilwoman Baumgartner mentioned about expanding the parks within the borough and improving those that currently exist, this is another way to increase small pocket parks within neighborhoods. I don't see that we.
There's one question about
Yes.
parking.
Yes. So a couple of
John?
things, I believe that's from Mr. Hayes as well. So I'll address it to the whole group, but particularly to Mr. Hayes. Yes, as you saw with some of what I showed in the pictures, moving and keeping that form base where we move buildings close to the traditional look of a borough or a small town up to the sidewalks, and moving parking to the rear allows for off-street parking. Part of the rewriting of our zoning and SALDO ordinances is going to give more flexibility to that type of design. In the business sector, we are looking at other opportunities and options for increased parking, whether it be, as you've asked, parking decks or something of that nature. We did consider parking as a strong initiative within the borough. I'm sure many of you have seen some of the most recent developments that have been put forth to the Planning Commission and zoning. We do have not only more parking, but as I'll continue on into our fifth and final key area, additions of sidewalks and street connectivity so that we're going from street to street and sidewalk to sidewalk instead of breaking it up. So yes, that was absolutely a strong consideration.
We have time for one more question. Wade asked for an example of anything locally of the mixed use that we might be able to refer to that inspired the concept.
Yes, actually, there's quite a few. If you go to any number of places, you can go to the south side of Bethlehem and see quite a bit of this mixed use where they're putting apartments over retail and office. If you move out to communities more the size of Emmaus, Harleysville's done the same. We looked at a number of other communities, Phoenixville, Doylestown. There's a number of them that have done so. Form-based is catching on in a lot of communities where they're bringing those setbacks closer to the sidewalk to keep the uniformity with the surrounding neighborhoods, but also to move the parking to the rear so that you don't have the challenge of on-street parking and the complications that it could create. I hope,
We can move on to the next area.
yes, I hope, Wade, that answered your question for you. Okay, we'll move into our fifth and final key area in transportation. While this key area indicated transportation, it is much more. The committee discussed more than just cars and trucks, including freight, bicycle, pedestrian. With a compact geography, Emmaus is ideal for biking, hiking, walking to parks, walking to businesses, to the South Mountain Trail, and certainly much more. With some minor changes to our roads, we would make them safer and more accessible, and communication and collaboration with partners such as PennDOT and our surrounding municipalities are critical to the success of this key area. It will probably come to no surprise to any of us that the two busiest corridors in Emmaus are the Route 29, Cedar Crest and Chestnut and or Main Street as it comes through the middle of the borough. Our goal is to manage these corridors in a manner that supports growth along them, but also to create new traffic signal timing, more efficient, safer crosswalks, and more effective planning for new projects is certainly critical. This picture will show some of those examples with median islands, pinch points, gateway treatments, and some others that make that possible. The committee understood the uniqueness of the freight rail that transects Emmaus and the need to ensure its safety for pedestrians and bikers. Emmaus's Lanta route also makes it ideal an ideal community for people who work outside of the borough, as well as for those coming into our industrial centers and for those wanting to come shop or maybe just have a safe ride home after frequenting one of our many breweries or distilleries. I'm not going to single anybody out on the call. Here again is just an example of another very vivid crosswalk option for both bike and pedestrian. It creates very highly visible crosswalks for both, as well as some bike lanes. We had looked at a number of options and roadways throughout the borough that are suitable for bike lanes. The Planning Commission and developers must incorporate connectivity of sidewalks, continuation of roadways, clearer sight lines, and more to achieve this key area. Much of this is currently being assessed as we rewrite the new zoning in Saldo, as I mentioned earlier, and the calming the traffic through Emmaus may also become a benefit to businesses as passerbys can become future customers as they slow their speed as going through some of these high traffic corridors. Here's another, again, very vivid crosswalk. Our Arts Commission was very much in favor of some of these crosswalk types. Here you see another that they were certainly in favor of and works in many areas throughout the borough. One of the areas that we actually completed prior to the completion of this visioning plan, as some of you may have seen, is right in front of the Emmaus Library where it crosses to the ball fields. That is a new crosswalk that has considerably safened pedestrians, particularly many of those at this time of year come from out of the borough to play and rent those fields.
We have one question on.
Yes. Lane narrowing was controversial in McCungie. Can we learn from what they didn't do in rolling it out? Absolutely. So the narrowing and creating those extended areas for pedestrian and or bike crossing have merit. Certainly there was, talking with the folks from McCungie, there were some challenges with not only the communication piece of it, but some of the technical and or construction of those impediments. I think in theory, they certainly have done what they intended, and that was to create an area where pedestrians can be better seen in a borough that has a large amount of on-street parking in the Route 100 corridor that goes down through their borough. The intent was there to push the pedestrians out into the street safely so that they could be seen by traffic coming down Route 100. So all of this would come with thoughtful planning and collaboration and coordination with residents in the area, as well as certainly, as I mentioned, the two major roadways that create most of our traffic, if not the larger percent of our traffic, are PennDOT roads. So the borough is limited in what its capabilities are on those two high priority roadways for the visioning committee. What we did discuss is identifying those roadways that give us the quickest availability to make change. Those that are borough roads that we know that have high amounts of pedestrian traffic, that are near parks, that are near schools, other amenities that create a lot of movement between those amenities and homeowners. And hopefully that has answered that question. I don't believe I see any others.
Mr. Gibson, I am going to comment that to John's point and to other questions here, the champion of the different topics that we've talked about here are going through borough committees as well. So that particular topic of lane narrowing has been and will continue to be talked about in more in depth at public safety. As Shannon mentioned, some of her topics are going through the Parks and Rec Committee. So all of these items will find merit and or continued traction at committee level. And then when we also involve more of the community into the conversations, if that helps.
Well, thank you to Terry, Michael, and Shanna, and Mayor Gilbert. And thank you everyone for joining us and your time today. This is the beginning of a conversation, not the end. So for more information and to view a recording of today's presentation or to share it with other constituents, please go to visitemmaus.com. You can sign up for email updates. We will post other updates there as well. And we will get to any other questions. We will be saving the chat and using, if you sign up for email updates on visitemmaus.com, you'll be receiving answers to the other questions that we received today. Have a nice rest of your day and a great Labor Day week.